In the previous lesson, you discovered something very powerful. You already know more Spanish than you actually thought. Words like actor, animal, capital are exactly the same in Spanish and in English. That was just the beginning. In today's lesson, we'll uncover a few more patterns that will instantly expand your vocabulary. We'll sprinkle in a few cultural notes here and there. And you know I like to end with a song to help you refine your ear so that you can better understand native speakers at full speed. Remember, our goal here is to help build your confidence in the language and bring you closer to this global culture. So let's get started. Vamos! Here we are, Chapter 2 of Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish. We're continuing studying those identical words, the cognates, and here she has categorized them from number 6 to 8. Are words that end in ISTA are nouns. Words that end in oso or osa are adjectives. And words that end in ion are nouns. Let's begin with category 6. In English, these words would end in ist, and in Spanish, we just add an A, and it's always just an A at the end. So here we have artista, dentista, electricista, especialista, florista, publicista, recepcionista, idealista, optimista, pesimista, realista, feminista, machista, racista, ciclista, guitarrista, pianista, turista, oportunista, capitalista, socialista. So notice that the words always end in ista, and only the article will change to indicate the gender, if it's a male or a female. In the previous lesson, we noted how we had to add an A at the end to note if they were females, but that's not the case with the ISTA words. They always stay the same, so that's even easier. All you have to change is the el or the la in front of it, okay? So that's a little bit different than the ones we did last week. So I would also just like to note that as Spanish is becoming more inclusive, it's trying to respond to society becoming more inclusive. They have introduced a gender-neutral article, which would be le. It's not officially recognized by the governing body of the language, the Real Academia Española, but the academy usually responds to society, so society expands its understanding, the governing body will as well. So I just wanted to point that out here. So the gender neutral version of this would be le publicista. Okay, so here we can make a few sentences here like el artista es guitarrista, la dentista es ciclista, le florista es socialista. So again, only the article changes with these ista words. Let's continue with category 7. So in English, these would be adjectives that end in OUS, and in Spanish, they would be oso or osa, or there's that inclusive ose. So let's pronounce these. We have ambicioso, amoroso, curioso, delicioso, fabuloso, famoso, furioso, generosa, luminosa, maliciosa, meticulosa, misteriosa, monstruosa, nerviosa, precioso, religiosa, or supersticioso. Or again, we could say preciose, religiose, or supersticiose. But again, you won't see that in our book because it was written in 1951 and it's not officially recognized right now in the language, but I just wanted to throw that out there so that you are aware of what's happening in the culture also. Also, the word vicioso or viciosa is a person who has many vices. It's not necessarily someone who is vicious. So if somebody is a heavy drinker or a smoker or something, you'd say, es una persona viciosa. Or if somebody's very funny, we have the word gracioso or graciosa. Let's move on to category number 8. These are words that in English would end in yon, or they might end in tion, shun, or sion, shun. Most of these are ending with the cion, but we also have in English, this would be region. Here we have región. So again, these are all cognates. I know you know what they mean. Let's just practice the pronunciation. And you'll notice there is a little accent mark here. So that means we want to make the stress on that syllable. Okay, so this is la acción, la administración, la atención, la condición, la confusión, la corrupción, la distracción, la educación, la emoción, la imaginación, la inspección, la meditación, la ocasión, la organización, la región, la solución, la tradición. So there we had that funny, gracioso or graciosa. Fun would be like diversion, diversión, and the adjective form would be divertido or divertida. All right, so those are our ion words. And notice they all take the la, okay? Because the nouns and adjectives always have to agree. This is from Saturday Night Live a few months ago. Bad Bunny was making a joke about the beginning of Spanish, and he's like, we shall declare every word a boy or a girl. So that's not the case, obviously, here. These aren't men or women, boys or girls. If a word takes the la form, we would say it's feminine. And if it takes el, we'd say it's masculine. Okay? If we're talking about a person and we're doing gender, then yes, el or la, those are boys or girls. Let's talk for just a minute about accent marks. You'll notice those words that ended in ion, when they're singular, they have the accent mark, but when we make them plural, they lose the accent mark. And there's a rule that states that words ending with a vowel, the letter S or the letter N, they will have the stress on the second to the last syllable naturally, and so no accent mark is needed. Now, you don't have to memorize this rule. I just wanted to point out that there's a pattern, right? Madrigal is all about pointing out these patterns. And so if you understand this pattern, the accent mark doesn't feel as frightening or as annoying. So the rule again is if the word ends in a vowel, the letter S or the letter N, the stress will naturally be on the second to the last syllable. So listen to these words. So we say acciones, emociones, condiciones, inspecciones, ocasiones, organizaciones, regiones. The stress is naturally on that second to the last syllable, so no accent mark is needed. That's not the case when these words are singular. They end in the letter N. The stress isn't on the second to the last syllable. It's actually on the last syllable. So that's why we have to put the accent mark there. That's why we were saying acción. The accent mark is telling me to do that. Emoción. These are rule breakers. Condición. Inspección. Ocasión, organización, región. So that accent there is telling you this word isn't following the rule. So let me give you a hint at how to pronounce it. So there's the accent mark. Here's that rule in action one more time with some of those words we worked on in the previous lesson. So notice all of these end in a vowel. So the stress is on the second to the last syllable. There's no accent mark needed. Listen. Adorable, posible, imposible, probable, flexible, imaginable, preferible. It's naturally there. These words end in a vowel, but the stress is not on the second to the last syllable, so it has an accent mark there so we know how to say it. Académico, básico. If we didn't have it, you would say básico. No. Básico. Okay? So that's the role of the accent mark with these words. Okay? They are there to help you with pronunciation. They're not trying to make it harder for you to learn. Let's do one quick review of the verb that she introduced in chapter 1, and she brings it up again in chapter 2. There's that es, which is or no es is not, and this can be used with the subject he, she, it, or the formal you, which is usted. And you can also use it to ask questions just by saying es, no es. So she ends every chapter with some practice so you can increase your confidence with speaking. So we've got a whole bunch of subjects over here, es or no es, and some descriptions over here. So let's see, if we say, la dentista es excepcional, that's fine. El artista es famoso. I want to make that agree. O and the el. El artista es famoso. La ciclista no es generosa. I'd make those agree. El turista es curioso. The O is going to agree with that el. El turista es curioso. La guitarrista no es famosa. La A. El pianista no es paciente. Those don't change. Madrigal always ends each chapter with some dialogues as well to help you practice speaking with confidence. So let's practice these. I'll just read the Spanish part because I'm sure you will understand the meaning of these words because they're all cognates. So here we have, ¿es impaciente la dentista? No. La dentista no es impaciente, es paciente. ¿Es ambicioso el pianista? Sí, en mi opinión, el pianista es muy ambicioso. ¿Es interesante el novelista? No, en mi opinión, el novelista no es interesante. ¿Es inteligente la doctora? Sí, la doctora es muy inteligente. So I hope going through these help build your confidence. We've just gotten started with some of these patterns. We've gone now in lesson 1, we did 1 through 5. Chapter 2, we've done 6 through 8. And you've already expanded your vocabulary to include hundreds of more words that you already know. So congratulations. You know, I like to end with a song so you can train your ear to listen to native speakers at full speed. Now, I can't play the song because I need to respect copyright restrictions. I was getting in trouble with YouTube, and I don't want to do that, but I do want to expose you to some songs that will help train your ear. This is from the YouTube channel Be Cool. You know, we like to be cool here. And the title of the song is A Diverse World, Un Mundo Diverso. You can recognize that cognate. So it says here, En nuestro mundo diverso hay mucho por descubrir. And there's that I. So in our diverse world, there is so much to discover. And that is true. I'll put a link down below, so please click on that. By now you've done 2 chapters and you've already unlocked the key to hundreds of words just by recognizing these patterns within these cognates. Chapter 3 is going to get crazy where we're going straight to the past tense. That's where Madrigal gets really radical and not going straight to the present tense, but we'll begin with the past tense. So I hope you'll join us in our next lesson. Thank you for joining me here at Tentáculo, Clases y Cultura. It's been a pleasure. I hope you are learning Spanish and exploring the culture and joining this global community. Please like, share, subscribe, and continue to join us. We look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Gracias y nos vemos.